All right, good evening. I certainly hope and pray that all is well. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. It was a beautiful day here in Cleveland, Ohio. I think it was 60 something, 70 something. I'm not exactly sure, but it was really nice. So, just a couple things really quick. I want to show you guys something. So, I really like plants. And I had this plant when I moved back from New York. I was living in an attic in Shaker. Like I found out, like in Shaker and Cleveland Heights, that they use those attics as apartments. I needed something quick. All right, so I was there for 2 years, and I finally got a plant, big, beautiful, both those. All right, but I didn't do too well with it. But I wasn't gonna get rid of it, so I kept it. Plant. But what I did was, a lot of the branches and stuff were just empty, so it was some left. So I took this little branch here, here, and I put it in water. Okay. I remember seeing a lot of people, various places and homes and stuff, taking branches and leaves, and sometimes when they break pieces off, people know about plants, okay, and they put it in water. So I did that. So look at this little one here. Oh, I hope you can see it. This little one here that's coming through. So then I had all these empty branches, right? And I cut them off, and I was like, well, hell, if I could put this one in the water, I keep put this one in the water for it to grow, then I could put these other empty branches. So I said, let me see what happens. Okay, let me scoot it back some. So I said, let me see what happens. So, and then this one, I had never done this before, so it took forever, for the root to come through. And I told myself one day, it takes time, just be patient. So this morning, I looked, or was it this morning or yesterday morning? I looked at these branches and look at the little leaf, the little the baby leaf coming through. Yay! Off the branch. Anyway, so I want to show that. And I got I got a big, beautiful plant. I forget the name of it, and I bought another one, but it's out in my living room. All right, but I want to show that. I will show the other plants later because I plan on buying some more. When I was a hypnotherapist, I was a certified hypnotherapist. I had a lady, she was my mentor, okay? My mentor. She had been a hypnotherapist for years. And she lived, for people who are familiar, now, people always talk about Shaker Heights and the big, beautiful mansions in Shaker Heights. Listen, Cleveland Heights, oh my God. Some of the mansions in Cleveland Heights, some of them, many of the mansions in Cleveland Heights are just breathtaking. I just love it. I'm in Cleveland Heights now, and like practically right on the corner from me is like a house, but it's like a castle. It's so beautiful. And I've seen these houses before and never paid no attention to them. But you get older, you become more aware of your surrounding, and of course architecture and stuff. I love old architecture. All right, but anyway, she lived in a mansion. She was a very wealthy woman. And I went to her home, and she had a room. One of the rooms in her home was, it was just, I forget what she called it, but it was just, just glass, just windows, everything. And she had, I can't tell you how many plants she had in there, but it was just like breathtaking. So out in my living room, I have these big windows. So I got one plant sitting out there. I don't know the name of it. I gotta look at it, say the name of it. And I plan on getting some more, just covering those windows with just plants. Okay. But anyway, let's get to this. So today, I was in a store, and I went to the cash register. I mean, paid for my stuff or whatever. It's all self checkout, and someone called out to me. And I just happened to look over, and at first I looked at this person. I didn't recognize her. And then I looked closer. I was like, oh, this young lady that I know from the church, who I had not seen in years. I haven't seen her in years. And it took me a minute when I looked at her. I didn't recognize her. It took me a minute to realize who she was. And I gave her a big hug. I said, oh my goodness, I haven't seen you in so long. And she hugged me, and she said something to me. She said, I heard about what happened to Mama. And I said, what? And she said it again. Now, I'm not good with lying or pretending and, all of that kind of stuff, all right? Quite obviously. And I looked at her, I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And she looked at me in thorough shock because, see, like I said before, people don't ask me how my mother is when you are watching my YouTube, okay, and you know the situation. But I could tell from the shock on her face, I was like, okay, obviously she don't know. And I just looked at her, I said, well, it was good to see you. And I said, okay, so something happened. So I got to looking. Now, the lady I talk about on here, the lady who raised me, who I have fussed at sometimes on here, okay, come to find out that she died. She transitioned on the 13th. Now, I know no one has told me anything, but it's already been made clear to me either they signed something or were told to never say anything to me. And that's really okay. It's probably for the best. Okay, what you all thought was for the worst, God said made it for the best. So I said, well, they were, now everybody's gone. I said, so they're not going to say anything to me, but God said it to me. Okay. That's why I don't understand people who do the evil things that they do to people that are obviously people of God. And I am. I have always been. Well, I wanted to say something else before this, but maybe I'll save it and I'll keep on. And I looked and I said, okay, well, she's older. She was born in 1944, which would make her what? What year is this? 82? 82. Okay. And people, when they get older, that's what happens. They die. They transition. They move on. I would be stupid and foolish to sit here and say, oh, that karma owner, she died. Look at it. And I'm glad she did. I know that's what people are expecting me to say. But people who really know me, not the pretenders and the liars, know that's not what she would say, despite the fact that she's gotten on here and revealed the truth. She was 82 years old. Now everyone's gone. But anyway, years ago, she said to me one day, she said, when I died, because I went to seminary, she said, I want you to preach at my funeral. Well, I knew when all this was going on for the last few years, I said, that won't be happening. Okay. But I'm going to say this, because I shared it with a couple people, and a couple people they asked me how I felt. And I said, well, I don't really feel anything in particular at this point in time. And I said, well, maybe I'll talk about it on my YouTube. But then I was like, I'm not obligated to. I don't know. And I said, well, I've shared a lot of my story and whatnot from what I know. A lot of the information just downloaded to me, and some, most of it confirmed. Okay. And it's interesting because I did have a dream about her last night. And the last part of the dream, all I remember is there was a ladder. And there was some folks in it. I can't remember everybody in it, but she was walking up there. She had on a white shirt, a black skirt, and she had her hair was straight and it was long down here. Now she never had long hair. She had locks one time. She had sister locks and it got about to here. But other than that, she never had long hair. So it was parted down the middle and it was long and it was straight. And she was going up the ladder, but me, I was like, I'm not going up there with them. I'm leaving. That's what I said to her. I'm leaving, and that's what I went to do. And one or two of her nieces, one was a great niece, or would that be a great niece? She was like a little girl. She's not a little girl, but in the dream she was a little girl, and she was just fluttering along, almost like a little fairy or something, with me and another little girl. But I can't remember who that other child was. But anyway, so I was like, okay, I don't know if this dream infiltration or what. It could just be because sometimes those dreams are like dream infiltration. Sometimes they're me working things out, okay, with and myself or whatever. And so I said, okay, well, that obviously wasn't that when I found out because this was on the 13th when she transitioned. At least from the obituary that I saw the cover of it because I said, let me look. So I went on Facebook and I looked at the church I used to go to and I saw it there and I said, okay. Now I'm going to say this. You have heard the things that I've shared with you on here, okay, about her role in this in my life. And they're true, okay? I don't know if all the readings are 1,000% accurate, okay, or 1,000% fact, but I'm pretty sure they're damn close, okay? And besides that, my own experience, besides, that I've shared. But I'm just going to say this. The woman who raised me, and, for noisy people who have nothing else to do, like mind their own fucking familial business, and others, that's not like, it's kind of like when the queen died. People, that karma. I'm like, she was 90 something years old. How long did you expect her to live? Okay. Lady Raisin was 82 years old. Now, she was very, very, at least with me. Now, I don't know about nobody else, but she was very, very, like, secretive. Very secretive. So there would be times, I'll be looking at her, I'll be like, well, what's wrong? Oh, nothing's wrong. And finally, when I got older, I would tell her, I don't know why you think I can't tell something's wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? And then finally, she just kind of, would concede and say, okay, well, I haven't been feeling well lately or something like that. So I don't know if she had dealt with any kind of sickness or anything. I don't know. I'm talking about the last time I talked to her was in July of 2021. Okay. And with what all that shit was going on around me that I've shared on here, no, I was not going back. Absolutely not. Okay. Um, but I will say this. I've talked a lot about the negative things, the things that I was experiencing, these things that these people were doing to me, and probably undoubtedly still trying to do. I don't know. Okay, because it's just like, well, whatever. Okay, moving on. Okay. But I will say this. Despite anybody's what's the word I'm looking for? Indiscretions. However I came to be. One thing I will say, I'm going to talk about the light. Okay, that might have been blinded me from some of the truth. Okay, over the years, but I'm going to talk about the light. One thing that I wrote her a letter maybe about a year, well, maybe about 2022. I think it was like around maybe April 2022, something like that. And I told her in the letter that I was thankful that she did take care of me. I was thankful that she raised me. I was thankful for her raising me in church and sending me to good schools, making sure I had clothes on my back and nice shit too. Okay, food to eat, and she gave me a home. Despite any, like I said, I'm talking about the light, despite any things that may have been going on in the dark that I wasn't aware of. Now, like I said, I knew it was some funny shit all in years. I could feel it. Okay, but despite all of that, the light within her being that was there. She was because we all got two sides. I guess you could say that. But from what I experienced up to a point, she was a good person. to me. I'm talking about to me, with me. She helped a lot of people, a lot of people. I mean, one time I made back in the days of MySpace. I put a picture of her up on MySpace, and somebody out of the blue was like, "Is that that's Miss Lewis? I work with her at Cleveland Clinic." And I was like, "Yeah, that's my mom." He was like, "Oh, she's a wonderful person." And that was the word on her everywhere you went. She's a wonderful person, a good person, kind person, a loving person, a very helpful person, and she helped a lot of people, a lot of people. Okay. Um, she often would say to me that if it wasn't for me and my sibling, you know, there's so much that she would not know. She said we taught her a lot. And I'd be like, well, how we teach as kids? And she's like, no, your interests, things that you liked. She said that she was a very quiet person, a very shy person. And just having us, opened her up. She became more open, and it opened her up to, the world, and being more open, and, I guess maybe things that she didn't know about, based on the schools that she sent us to and all of this kind of thing. She just learned a lot, you know, from just having us. But at the same time, it's like one way or the other, you sent us to the schools, because, we grew up like, East Cleveland, and she sent us to private schools way out, and then when I was 11, we moved to Cleveland, right outside of East Cleveland. So she sent us to these schools way out, and of course we got involved in activities out there, but she said she wouldn't have known anything about it, about those, the various things that we delved into and got involved with. She allowed the children that she was raising, her children, to teach her, as well as teaching us. But I'm only going to speak from my point. I can't speak from my siblings' point of view. Okay. So this ain't nothing I prepared or anything like that. This is just something I just got on here to share. Okay, from my vantage point. Um, you know, she was a seamstress. This woman had used to sew wedding dresses, and sew the sequins and shit on by hand. You understand what I'm saying? Like when I was little, she made a lot of my clothes from, by hand. Okay. She was a nurse. She was I think a LPN at first, and then she became a registered nurse. She worked in the surgery. She worked in the operating room. Um, she worked at Cleveland Clinic from when it was not what it is today. Okay, till it became what it is today. She was highlighted on the wall up there in Cleveland Clinic. They had a walkway with a lot of the people that worked there, and I believe her picture was up there. I think so. For being there, however many years she had been there, she retired from there and everything. All right. So I learned a lot from her. She shared a lot with me. She gave me a lot of wisdom over the years. Sometimes I have mentioned some of the things that she has shared with me, or I was just talking to someone today and she said, yeah, you told me the other day about something your mother told you, because something that she was dealing with. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you what the lady who raised me told me, you know. And she reminded me of that today. That's like, that I just shared that with her like last week. Okay. Growing for me, growing up, I remember when I think about her, I remember a lot of my teenage years, especially though when my sibling, he was older than me, when he went away to college and it was just me and her in the house. I remember a lot of that time period and a lot of things that we did together. So for me, the woman that I knew, that I remember, that's why it was so hard for me when I found out all of these things about this betrayal, despite me feeling like something doesn't feel right, something is strange, despite the betrayal, and when it did come to light for me, it's like, well, this didn't just start. She just started this. Because that's why it was heartbreaking for me, you know, because for me it was more so about, it wasn't about, okay, you gotta change your mom. It's like, I don't care about that, if she's my birth mother or not. I'm not hurt about that one way or the other. I don't care. But how do you, who have you become? They're gone now. Who have you become? You know, or were you always this person? Okay. But again, for me, it's like I have really, really, really great, fond, wonderful, beautiful memories growing up with her. With the questions, all of that, the strange feeling, all of that. You know, I wish I could have prepared this more as opposed to just speaking about it off the cuff. You know what I'm saying? Um, but she allowed us and myself. When I say us, I mean me and my older brother. But I you know, even though it's still like they had their own relationship, which I don't know what it was. You know, um, to anything that I wanted to try, anything that I expressed interest in, she allowed me to do it. You know, if she had the money, and even if she didn't, well, she might have had the money. I don't want to talk about that part, you know, but she opened the door. Go for it. Always supportive. Okay. Um, just a good all around, the good, the light. Well, she was a beautiful, all around beautiful woman. And there's, you know, I know some people, even me, when I said, you know, I'm leaving. I'm like I said in that dream last night. I'm leaving. You know, and no, I'm not gonna be targeted and destroyed by anybody. By anybody. Okay. Um, she gave me enough. She gave me. I shouldn't say enough. She gave me a lot to be able to live a life. Okay. Of decency, with dignity, self-respect. Okay. Despite what she may have done, despite what any of you think that you're going to clump up and group up together to target me, to try to destroy me, and to try to take anything and steal anything from me. I don't think so. And even with her, so there were days I'd be like, I don't understand her role in this, with everything that she taught me and everything that she gave me and everything that she blessed me with. I don't understand this. Okay. But there's a lot in the background that I don't know, behind the scenes, that I don't know anything about. That, you know, well, that's between her and God. Yeah. But she did send me some great schools. Despite some of you, um, all right, hold on, please. All right, I had to take care of something real quick. Okay. Nevertheless, okay. So again, I don't have anything off the top of my head. I don't have anything. I didn't write anything down. It's just off the top of my head. Okay. I thought up until that point, and again, there's probably so much more to it than meets the eye that I don't know. I do know I was betrayed. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay, by her, by father, sibling, family, so on and so forth. Okay, probably for some money. Okay, but nevertheless, um, up in what I knew up until those moments that she was a beautiful woman. She was a lovely woman to me. Where when I discovered and found out what I did find out, it's like, man, I could have been thrown in the system. Anything could have happened to me. So she just didn't just give me a house to live in and throw clothes on my back. You know, I had a back then, I and I still do. I had a very my taste for things was expensive, and she would do her best to give me what I want, to give me what I wanted. Okay, all right, all right. Fed me well, treated me well from what I could see up at that time. All right, all right. Nobody is going to tell me, I don't care who you are or who you think you are, in your lies, anything other than what I know to be the case, unless you add on to it or offering further explanation for it. Okay. But I did see her last night going up that ladder with that long hair. You know. So despite the dark side and everything, she was a good woman and helped a lot of people and helped me and gave me a wonderful, wonderful upbringing with a lot of wisdom, intelligence, integrity, taught me how to carry myself with self-respect, honor, and dignity that you motherfuckers thought that you were going to take away from me, maybe including her. You never will. Think again. Okay. But anyway, that's the end of that. Somebody asked me, they said, what if she left something for you, basically to make restitution? What if her family members calls you and says that she left this for you? I said, well, if one of her family, if she left something for me and gave it to one of them, I ain't gonna never see it. I know that. All right. But besides that, you know, mongrels here. Besides that, that's the end of that. You know, if I feel, like I said, I just did this off the cuff. I didn't write anything out or anything like that. I wasn't even sure that I was going to do it, that I was going to speak about it. Um, I do remember over the years, because of how I felt, because I was like that. What's the title of that book? I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I felt caged. You know, ever since I was small, I felt like I was locked away somewhere. Okay. Um, I remember there are times I used to think to myself, when she dies, I know then I'll be free. And of course I would think to myself, oh, don't think that. That's your mother. You shouldn't think that way, you know. And here it is. I find out today that she passed. And, you know, of course, people ask me how I feel. It's like, I don't necessarily feel anything. I don't feel a sadness. I don't feel mad. I don't feel glad. I don't have a feeling. And one person said, well, sometimes it takes a minute for things to set in, you know, and that's true. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, other than that, despite that, the dark aspect of either who she was, some people were like she was always that way. You just didn't see it. I don't know. I really don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because I do remember those last few years looking at her like, what is wrong with her? Who is this person? You know, what's happening to her? You know, I don't know if it was getting older or what, but that whole betrayal thing about this money and all that kind of thing, that's not new, you know. But hey, whatever, you know. What y'all say? God got me. God got my back, and always have. I was like Daniel in the lion's den. And remember, the lions didn't harm him. And neither will any of you who think that you're going to or who thought you were going to. Me, you're not going to harm me. So for the strength that she did instill in me, I'm thankful and I'm grateful. And I am thankful and grateful despite all of that. I'm thankful that she was the woman that I called mother, mommy, ma. Very thankful and very grateful. Yeah. Yeah, there many a day with all the bullshit, I did feel like, oh, I wish that woman who was my brother would have given me to that other family. Because goddamn, what is this shit? I went to one psychic. She said, I think it might have been the same thing, just from a different perspective. Could have been. I don't know. You know. All right. And given who my birth mother is, I was like, they was like, girl, they would have sacrificed you, probably. And maybe they're the ones behind this shit. I don't fucking know who it is. Okay. Um. But regardless, you know, God help anyone who disrespects this queen, me. All right. All right. Now, last night on my psychic app, I got a weird request for a reading. Some woman asking me to, she didn't know who her birth family was, her parents, and blah, blah, blah. And I was adopted, and how did they meet? Now, listen, I don't know why you all think. I don't know if that was some good government shit, 3-letter shit, 3-letter agency shit, or what. I don't know why you all send that kind of shit and think that I don't. I'm like, okay, this is silly. Because it was an unrealistic question to ask for 3 minutes. Now you can keep doing it, you know. But I don't know what you're looking for, or what was I supposed to say? Girl, yeah, I've been through something like that. Your story sounds like mine. No. Okay. So anyway, that's all I have to say for the time being on that as far as the lady who raised me in her passing. I would say, just from the light aspect, in the light that I saw her do, in the light that I saw within her, she was a valuable asset to the world. The other stuff, I don't know what that's all about. All right. All right, that's the end of that for right now. You all have favor. Peace.